A craftsman is what young people nowadays call an old man, like me, who is skilled in handicraft. But to me, making colored glazed crystalware is not difficult. Anyone who is meticulous and willing to practice tirelessly can reach my skill level. You have to be precise with the temperature, force, color. I've explained this many times to people who've come to see me. As thanks for coming all this way to talk to this old man, I don't mind explaining a few more times. There are always exceptions, however, and today's visitor seemed more interested in something else. The young man in a suit standing by the door had no excitement or joy in his eyes, and his tone was polite and distant.
Mr. Chuck.
Instead of asking, he addressed me as a confirmation. I nodded, but didn't move, nor did I intend to invite him inside. My most prized glazed glass artwork was placed at the door, but he did not even look at it. Obviously, he came here for something else. Can I help you?
I want to ask you something.
As he spoke, he looked inside, and what happened next went without saying. If he had wanted to discuss craftsmanship with me or asked for some glazed glass artwork, I would have made him a cup of tea, but such a vague plea lacked sincerity. I smiled. It's just me and the mountains. There's no one else around. Just go ahead and say what you want to say. The young man and I remained silent for a while. Then he frowned a little and said,
1908, the White House. Are you sure we should talk here?
A crow flew through the trees, and the rustling of leaves almost concealed his deep voice. I looked deep into the forest and stepped back to make way for the young man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I closed the door, led him to the living room, and looked outside as I passed the window. In the silence, the trees obscured a faint figure among the mottled shadows. I had been mistaken. No matter how secluded, this place could not stop the enthusiasm of an eager visitor. Did he come for you? Or me as well? I placed the teacups on the table and sat opposite the young man.
I'll handle it myself later. It won't involve you.
He paused, took a sip from his teacup, then looked up and got straight to the point.
About the White House.
There are not many who know about this.
I have my own channels of information, and I can't disclose much. Sorry.
Kid, you know, I can answer you the same way if I want. I shook my head and took a sip with my eyes closed. The tea was pretty good. When we opened our eyes again, we were no longer in the living room. There were glazed glass, molds, furnaces, and a row of unglazed plates. The small workshop was covered with dust and cobwebs. I placed the cup on the low cupboard near me, and in a flash, the scene around us changed. The sun shone through the windows, blanketing everything in the living room with a glow of warmth. I looked at the young man standing opposite to me, saw no alarm or surprise in his eyes. He looked back at me and spoke slowly.
Is this your Evol? How did you achieve time travel?
Evol. I was surprised. When was the last time I mentioned this word to someone else? You have some tea first. We'll take our time. It was a while before I spoke and pointed to the cup on the table. Colored glazed glass refracted the light, and even the tea became crystal clear, like an illusion. We talked for a long time that afternoon. The first time I heard him say Evol, I inevitably thought of an old friend. They both listened intently as I spoke, nodding from time to time or offering opinions. But this young man was more reserved. his eyes engraved with calmness and reason, while my old friend was more like sunshine, warm and kind. His daughter was like him. The little girl smiled like the sun, not dazzling or eye-catching, but warm and hopeful. Fate is really a wonderful thing. Not long after I recalled my old friend, I met his daughter, along with the cold young man whom she called Victor. But the Victor that day was very different from the Victor of the first meeting. I thought he was a frozen pool of water, accompanied by long nights and late winters. Even the warm spring breeze could not disturb him. Unexpectedly, in the presence of that girl, his expressions were vivid and full of life, like a flowing stream after the ice had melted. So I could probably guess why he wanted to confirm so many things with me and tried so hard to find the truth. Ah, it's nice to be young. Before they left, I gave them the box that had remained unopened for a long time. The content of the box was just a souvenir that was no longer useful to me. But for these two young people, maybe it could help them change their fate. Kids, as long as you've got time, everything can still change. Time is the future. The girl tilted her head. She obviously didn't understand. But Victor remained serious and nodded solemnly. Before getting in the car, he gave me one last look. I waved at him with a smile, pointing at the girl. The only thing he didn't reveal that first day was the existence of the girl. And the only answer I didn't give was being held in her hands at that very moment. Therefore, we can call it even. But the car gradually drove off toward the setting sun. The orange sky was bright, which hasn't changed even a little over 100 years. Alas, I sighed and retreated into my cabin. But it's never easy to change the future. It was a long time before I saw Victor again, and the place of our reunion was not my cabin, but a different space that was vaguely familiar.
Mr. Chuck?
Victor seemed a little surprised to see me. In fact, I was also confused by the situation. I had just planned to enter my own special space, but ended up there unexpectedly. Just to be sure, I confirmed with him. "Did you bring me here? Is this your space?" He shook his head, insisting that he also didn't know where we were. Victor took something out of his pocket and opened his palm. It was the sundial pocket watch I had given him. There were several tiny cracks on the surface of the glazed glass. Looking at those winding curves, I finally remembered where we were. Those guys never change. Who? The time observers. You'll see them soon. I tried to enter my special space, and this place appeared to be connected to it, but not to any other. "I'll fix the pocket watch for you first, then we'll get out of here." Taking the pocket watch from his hand, I pulled out the chair and sat at the table. This scene was so familiar and brought back so many memories. Victor frowned. He didn't seem to accept my ambiguous explanation, but didn't interrupt me. While repairing the pocket watch, I explained a few things to him. Soon he understood the situation and even asked a question that I couldn't answer. Handing him the repaired pocket watch, I told him that I didn't know, that he can ask the time observers when he meets with them.
I see. Thank you.
He nodded and grasped the pocket watch, the new surface reflecting soft brown light. I couldn't help but remind him, glazed glass is fragile and can't bear so much pressure. After hesitating for a few seconds, I added, "The same goes for humans." Victor looked at the sundial pocket watch in his hand. Silence spread throughout the space, and time seemed stagnant. It was a long time before I finally heard his answer.
I know.
He knew, but I was afraid that was all he was going to give me. I watched him place the pocket watch back in his pocket, which carried his fate as well as that girl's. Although it was heavy, it was a burden he had to bear. Forget it, I sighed secretly. Was it not the same for me in the beginning? Who was I to judge him? I just hoped that the future of these young people would be brighter. I was not surprised that the girl came to me. After all, there were so many memories of her father here, and an old man who could reminisce with her about him. But I didn't expect that so much would change for her, nor that her evil would become so difficult to control. The power of premonition may sound desirable, but if tragedies can only be seen but not changed, who would want such an ability? I comforted the girl and saw her off, and then stepped into my own space and began making glazed glassworks for the first time in a long while. Just as in glazed glassmaking, as long as one is meticulous enough and willing to practice tirelessly, one can become proficient in almost anything, except controlling the future. The fire in the furnace can burn one's eyes. In a trance, I returned to that day at the White House in 1908. The red light appeared in the sky, erasing people's memories and taking the lives of a group of people. No matter how attentive one is to the details, or how much one tries again and again, fate has been sealed, and the future can never be altered. I placed the newly made red glaze cup on the table. Returning to the cabin, I came upon an unexpected guest. Have you found a way?
Not yet.
Victor replied with a complex look. He stepped forward and handed me the broken pocket watch. I had never seen glaze in such a broken state. Its surface was covered in web-like cracks. Sorry, I can't help you. Perhaps he had expected that result and didn't ask me to make useless attempts. He just bowed low and thanked me. I shook my head and couldn't help looking out the window. The girl's face glowed red in the fiery sunset. She stood under the tree alone, but happy. Perhaps because she knew someone would always be there for her. After seeing them off again, I sat quietly by the window, watching the darkness spread across the sky, devouring all colors. It was nightfall.